Welcome to Quick Shots, a short format traditional archery podcast, where we introduce you to some of the world's most influential traditional archers, and occasionally, some random dudes. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Quick Shots. Today we have two very special episodes for you. Sara Gamache, who in addition to being an exceptional hunter and archer, is wife to Caleb Gamache US Special Forces Green Beret, currently serving our country in combat zones around the world. And Daniel Liss, U.S. Army retired and an incredible longbow shooter with a ton of experience and archery knowledge. These two episodes of Quick Shots are dedicated to all veterans in the U.S., the Commonwealth, and allies that help and continue to help fight to preserve our freedoms. On this Veterans Day / Remembrance Day, take time to reach out to a veteran or family of a veteran and just say hi. How you doing? You don't have to say thank you for your service. Just let them know that you're thinking about them. God bless the men and women that served or have served to defend our freedoms. They do it for us, lest we forget. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Quick Shots. I'm your host, Mick Chambers. I'm here with Sara Gamache, or PNW Huntress on Instagram. Pacific Northwest, I assume, right?
Yes, yep, that's what it stands for.
That's great, man. I'm kind of excited to talk to you because not only are you a military spouse, but you are relatively new to traditional archery. I love it. That's great. I think that's kind of what we're trying to do on this channel. So we're trying to introduce people, although you have a massive Instagram following, massive, that's awesome, which is really cool. But maybe not everyone in the trad community knows you as well as other places. So can you kind of give me like a quick introduction? So for people listening that may not be following you yet, and they should.
Yeah. So I am a military wife. I've been married to my husband for about 10 years, and we currently live in Washington State, which is my hometown. So that's where the PNW comes from. Yeah. I've been a hunter since I was 11. I started out rifle hunting. Yeah. And then I moved from rifle to muzzleloader, and then I moved from muzzleloader to compound, and then I moved from compound to trad. Oh my God. So I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be spear throwing next or what, but yeah, I kind of made my way down the line going more primitive. I've only actually been even compound hunting though for about 2.5 years. So archery in general is fairly new to me. And then as far as shooting my recurve, I've done that less than a year.
So that's pretty cool. Now, what's making you go more and more primitive?
The challenge. I feel like I get good with one weapon, and then it doesn't necessarily get boring, but I miss that the challenge isn't there anymore. And so I move on to the next thing that I assume is going to, be more challenging. And it definitely has been. So I went the right direction.
Yeah. So we lost you there for a second. So are you seriously saying that it's a little bit more challenging to shoot a recurve? Because you're shooting recurve, right? A little bit.
I am. Recurve will definitely humble you. If you're used to shooting compound and think you're good with a compound, just go grab a recurve, and that'll humble you up real quick.
I don't want to make light or not emphasize your past history hunting, because oh dude, it's incredible. It's incredible. You've done some amazing things. So I want to talk about that too, if you don't mind. Just kind of your history and all the things. Like, you're a stone cold killer. You are crazy.
That's a good compliment.
That is a good compliment in the hunting world. So I mean, you've done some amazing things. Why don't we talk a little bit about that? I know it's not trad, but stick with us, guys. We'll get to the trad.
Yeah. So I started out, like I said, hunting when I was 11, which was mostly public land hunting. That's kind of my dad and I going out in the woods with a rifle. And so over the years of doing that, I shot a lot of blacktail, which are hard deer to hunt. So those were some big accomplishments for me at a young age. Actually, my first one that I got, I was solo hunting. So I started finding that I enjoyed going out by myself. I mean, it started out as hanging out with dad and spending time with him. But as I got older, I found that was really like my time when I was in the woods, like away from the craziness of the world, where it just was kind of something that I enjoyed, to get away from everything. And then I also do a lot of elk hunting. I'd say that's probably my favorite game animal to hunt. So here in Washington, we have Roosevelt elk, and I've shot 2 really nice bulls the past couple years. And then more recently, I've found a passion in traveling internationally. So last year, my husband and I went to Africa. That was amazing. That was life-changing. I love Africa. I fell in love instantly. And I went to Scotland, and then we have some future hunts planned. So hopefully next year, if COVID isn't still going on, we're going to go to New Zealand.
Oh, wow. North or South Island? Do you know?
North.
North Island? That is fantastic. So what do you hunt in Scotland?
A red stag is what I got over there. So that's why I want to try to go New Zealand and get one now. So I have one from each place. So that's the goal.
You know, I want to tell you a story. I want to tell a funny story about red stags in Scotland. There's an old joke. Do you know that old joke? And I'm going to mess it up. You know the joke about this? About
No.
something about, the guy goes in and he sees this beautiful red stag like mounted on the wall in this guy's house. And he said, "Where'd you get that?" He said, I got that in Scotland on the Scottish-English border. And he goes, I forget the joke. Someone will remind me. But anyway, it's like, and the Scottish guy said to him, "Well, that end wasn't on the Scottish side or something." So I know it's terrible. Sorry.
I haven't heard that one.
Okay, but it's not a funny. It's funny when someone tells it that knows it, but
the right way.
Yeah, it's like the.
I'll trust you.
Okay, if you find it, you gotta hear it. That's pretty good. Did you get something? Were you successful out there?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, in Scotland. Unfortunately, you can't bow hunt in Scotland, which was disappointing because when I started with my compound, I didn't want to go back to rifle hunting ever. Like, people probably can relate. You know how that is. Once you switch to archery, like, there's really no going back. But they don't allow you to bow hunt there. I guess they consider it inhumane, unethical. Yeah, so they ban it, and so you have to use a rifle. So I shot my stag with a 300 rifle that I had custom made for me, actually, and it was the first animal I got to kill with it. So I was excited.
Well, that's still good. I mean, again, you are a hunter. That's unbelievable. Just like I said, a stone cold killer. And that is so weird that they don't do that, because Scots they're known for their archery, right?
Yeah. So some stupid government rule. I mean, kind of like our gun laws that we have that we think are ridiculous. So yeah, it's just one of those things over there.
It's kind of the reverse. So, okay. So let's talk about how you got into trad archery. So what was the sort of, what was the enlightened moment that you said, "Hey man, I better go do trad archery"?
Well, I definitely wanted, like I said, more of the challenge, because I had been doing compound for like 2 years, and I was very successful. Like I shot almost all my animals in Africa, got a nice, Roosevelt bull, got a really nice blacktail. And I was like, okay, like, I remember when I got my compound, how much work I put in and all the practice and how much of a challenge it was. And I love stuff like that. And I just wanted to have that back. And I didn't have that anymore at the compound. So my archery coach, Joel Turner, he's a big trad guy. Yep, so whenever I'm over at his house and he's giving me coaching, or I'm, doing an arrow setup, he's just always like, "When are you going to, pick up a recurve?" Like, he's always out there shooting his, giving me a hard time about my compound. And so I finally was just like, okay, I'm ready. And I remember when I texted him and I said, "Okay, Joel, I'm ready." And he was like so excited. He was like, "I've been waiting for this day." So that was last, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Are you there? I have calls coming in. That was last, I think, like December, mid to late December, that I texted him that when I made that decision.
And so Joel, as your coach, Shot IQ, shout out to Shot IQ. Are you using a thumb release?
I started out thumb shooting, which is crazy, because like I learned no one does that. That was just some crazy
no one does that
technique Joel wanted me to do, which I didn't know at the time. But I was like, I didn't know any different. So yeah, I started thumb shooting. And he didn't give me any other options. He was just like, "Just try thumb shooting, see if you can do it." And I didn't know anything about split finger 3-under. Like, this is literally handing me a bow and saying, "Just see if you can do this." Yeah. And I could do it. I think we probably started at like 30 pounds, 25, 30 pounds. And I enjoyed it and it worked, and I could get, all the way pulled back with it. And I shot that way for probably like 5 months, I'd say. And I got really good. I was like really accurate, and he was all wound up about it because now he had someone else thumb shooting with him. So we would do shoots together, and I'd go over and practice all the time. And then I had to switch because I got a new bow. I started shooting for PSE, and I got their Achieve Pro takedown. And when I got those limbs, and they were 40-pound limbs, I could not pull those back using my thumb.
Okay.
Like I could not
back.
get back all the way. So I was like, Joel, I'm going to have to switch. Like, I'm sorry. So I switched to 3-under, and it was a lot easier doing it that way.
Just you got more torque on your.
Right.
So that leads us to, that's a good segue into what are you shooting right now? What is your weapon? What's your,
that's still what I'm using, the PSE Achieve takedown. And I've got the 40-pound limbs on there.
Wow. And so what's your draw length? Are you actually pulling 40 pounds?
Yeah, I'm probably pulling a little bit more. I actually anchor really far back. So I'm probably like on my compound, my draw is 27 inches or 27.5 inches. I've got really long arms.
Yeah.
And with my recurve, it's even more than that. So I'm probably realistically pulling back, I don't know, maybe 45 pounds.
Yeah. Wow. That's great. And so you just, no problem, just boom, off you go?
Well, no, I mean, I had to work up to that. There was definitely a time, like the first few months, like I really struggled. I had a lot of shoulder issues, a lot of shoulder pain. I had times when my hands were going numb, which I was like, oh, this isn't good.
That's good. That's like, but you stuck it out.
Yeah, I stuck it out. I started doing CrossFit. I started working out. My husband was happy about that because he's really into that. I'm not really a fitness person, but I started doing, and honestly, just practicing. Like, people think like building strength through working out, but it's honestly just getting out there and doing those repetitions and getting the muscle memory. And I think that's in the end probably how I got there.
Okay. Yeah. Just be careful of your shoulder.
Yeah.
This repetitive injury, we struggle with it when you've been in trad for a long time. So many guys, bad shoulders just because they didn't learn. Right. And
right.
You're doing it the right way. I get, like, I saw you, Joel Turner, but not only Joel Turner, you had Tom Klum, in some of your videos. So,
yeah.
I mean, we're going to be talking to Tom here in a bit. We're going to have him on the show, but both those guys are rock stars in
yes.
the community. You know what I mean? Like they're coaches.
Yeah.
What we keep telling people on the show is, like, especially new people, is don't try and do it on your own.
Yeah.
Like, it's real important, right?
100%. I could not agree with you more. When I started Compound, I wasn't working with Joel, and luckily I'd only been in it like 4 or 5 months when he reached out to me and was like, you need help, let me help you. And he just lives down the road. Like, that's the beauty of working with Joel, is he's 15 minutes from me, and we're from the same small town here in Washington. Our families know each other and stuff. So I got extremely lucky in that regard. And then as soon as I knew I was going to switch to trad, like, I obviously wanted to keep Joel, but then I wanted to seek out other coaches as well. And obviously I knew about Tom through Joel because they do clinics together.
Yeah, they do.
So that was the second person that I was like, yep, I need him, because Tom does all the physical, Joel does all the mental, and it's just like that perfect combination. And I could definitely see where if you're new and you don't have those resources, and you're going to get so frustrated. And I bet that's probably why people give up, so it's super important.
So, yeah. So, for those, I'm hoping to have some of your video here over top of me right now.
Okay.
Because what'll happen, because this is a video log or whatever, I don't know what we call them, video podcast. And also it's going to be a podcast. So it'll be on all the podcast, wherever you get your podcast from. But I want to have this video of you shooting, because your form is ridiculously good for the short period of time that you've been shooting. But it's because you've had a coach. You've had two coaches. And you do anchor like way, way back here. What are you finding back here to anchor on?
Well, I think I started anchoring that far back because when I started thumb shooting, like, I would get right behind my jawline, and I would just hook that thumb, like the edge of my thumb right there.
Yeah.
And then now that I switched to 3-finger, I just instinctively, muscle memory, I still want to come that far back, where I know most people, when I'm watching shoot, they're like more up on their face, where I'm still back here. And I think that's why. It was because of when I started with the thumb shooting. That was just where it felt the best, is right back in here.
And so how are you shooting? How's your game?
As far as accuracy?
Yeah, I mean,
so I do gap shooting.
Okay.
And that's just what Joel taught me to do. I haven't ever tried string walking, or I don't do instinctive shooting, obviously, because if you know Joel's method, you have to go through a process, aiming process, and self-talk through your head, through your shot. So instinctive is kind of out of the question. And it's worked for me so far. So probably going to stick with it.
That's good. And so are you more, again, so you're using Tom Plum's mechanics with Joel Turner's mental approach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the shot IQ approach. Okay, cool. So that's where the good form comes from. So why don't you talk us through that? Can you talk us through, like, you're setting up for a shot. It doesn't matter if it's an animal or a target, but what's your process? Like, when do you start your process getting ready to do that shot, to execute a shot?
Before I even come to full draw, there's self-talk going on. Well, it's crazy because, like, when I'm hunting, like, for instance, if I'm sitting in a stand, I'm literally self-talking almost the whole time. Like, when I see the animals coming in, I'm like, get your shit together. Like, don't panic. Like, I do so much self-talking. I don't know if that's normal, like what other people do, but I'm constantly reminding myself, like, you're going to go through your process. You're not going to screw this up. You're going to do this right. Sometimes I have Joel's voice in my head. Sometimes I have Tom, and so it starts long before I even pick up my bow and get ready to nock an arrow. I'm already talking to myself. But then once I do get to that point where I have the bow in my hand and I'm getting ready to pull up to draw, I tell myself, and this comes from Joel, I'm going to shoot this shot with control, or I'm not going to shoot it at all. And that's just kind of the mantra that I have to stick with, that I have to tell myself. And I just take a deep breath, give myself that moment, keep the self-talk going, keep this together. Yes. I pull up, draw back, and I aim immediately. So I get right on the target, and then that job is done. And Joel refers to it as watch it to keep it. So some people, when they're aiming, they concentrate solely on, that field tip and on the bullseye or the animal. And they're so obsessed with, like, keeping it there or watching that aim and waiting maybe for it to get right where they want to go and then release.
Yeah.
I don't do that. I get it up there, I set it there, and I leave it, and I don't pay attention to that anymore, because that, even if it's moving, like especially on a compound where you're watching your pin move, it's going to come back to center every time. Mm-hmm. So target panic comes in for people when they're trying to control that movement and then just releasing as soon as they think it's where they want it. Yeah. So I don't do that. Yeah. I ignore it. And then I continue the self-talk. And I tell myself, keep pulling until the shot breaks, so that it's a surprise shot. And my clicker that I have is Tom's. It's the palm clicker in my hand. So I'm increasing pressure on that at the same time, and then doing the self-talk throughout the whole process.
That's awesome. That's
awesome. Complicated. It's hard to explain to people. People are like, what?
and I want to emphasize that you don't need to know all this stuff. I mean, you are an exception to the rule in terms of having so much training and being just thoughtful in your process and your shot, because you've had great coaches. It seriously helps. And Shot IQ also and Tom Klum's course are available at the Push Archery. So if you get a chance, take a look at those. If you're listening to this, help those guys out. I mean, they're teaching some really great stuff, and I'm kind of guilty too. I haven't done it, but I've been doing travel.
Oh man, come on.
I'm gonna get shit from Tom next time when I talk to him. I probably will do the Tom Klum course, and I'll get on that. It's just I've been lazy. I've been busy. I got stuff going on.
Try to find those guys. They do what's called Immersion Clinics, and that's where the two of them get together, and they usually shoot, like in Texas. That's where I did Tom's. And And it's like you get Joel's portion, you get Tom's portion, and then you get a hunt too. So it's like a nice little package deal. It's really, but like you said, they do have online courses, and they're both like phenomenal guys. Like they will both give you the shirt off their back. So if you're someone that needs more help and wants to reach out to them, like both of those guys will talk to you one-on-one and help you with whatever you need.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that, because it's been a theme on the show. I think everyone we've talked to has said everyone in trad archery is so nice.
Yeah, I
it's
agree.
it's kind of true, right? It's kind of true.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so let's jump to being a military wife, or is that the proper? Forgive me if I'm military spouse,
wife.
military wife. I don't.
Yeah.
Talk to us a bit about that. I mean, I'm hoping to drop this show on November 11th, which will be Veterans Day in the United States and Remembrance Day in the rest of the world, or Remembrance Day in the rest of the world, for our allies anyway. And of course, I'm wearing a poppy today. That's the symbol of remembrance. In Canada, we only have 1 day for our military, and same in England, I believe, in the UK and in Australia, and that is November 11th, and we celebrate our veterans and our and those fallen in war as well. Now, I was really excited to talk to you because your husband is in the military, active military.
Yep.
So you seem to get all the fame, but let's talk about him a little bit, and let's talk about you being. And honestly, thank you for your service. You know what, we do appreciate it. It's just amazing. You know, you'll tell him thanks, I hope, for his service. We appreciate everything he does. You know, we need the sheepdogs all the time. So
yeah, he deserves some credit. He's an amazing guy, badass soldier, really good at what he does as job. He's a Green Beret, and super supportive of me and my hunting and my trips. He's gone 6 to 8 months out of the year with their job. If they're not deployed somewhere, like on a combat mission, they are deployed somewhere training. So we've been married. We're celebrating our 10-year anniversary actually in a couple weeks.
Yay, congrats.
And thank you. For most of our, like, we've probably spent more time apart than we have together realistically. There was a time when I think the longest consecutive time we had been together was like 3 months. That was a long time for us, for him to be home. So there's some challenges that come with that, but we've kind of got it down. Like we've got our routine. And like I said, he's very supportive of me hunting, especially when I go on these trips. Like when I went to Scotland, he was deployed. So I went to Scotland by myself. He was at home for that. Yeah. I've been to Texas several times, you know, on my own, and he's okay with that. And so I think that's the part of the reason why we have a good, successful marriage, is because of the support for each other.
Nice.
So that, and then now once we got married, I got him into hunting because he had not hunted before that. Just people, not animals.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Bad joke.
It's okay.
So now once he started hunting, and he's very good, he's very successful. He loves it now too. So now it's something
is he really successful? Does he have a recurve bow?
Well, he doesn't have a recurve bow, but he did start archery hunting, so he has a compound. But I guess no one's successful till they do the recurve.
I mean, honestly, is that success? No, I'm kidding.
He's tried. He has picked up mine and shot it. He's like, nope. He's like, there's technology for a reason. There's no reason to be doing this.
No, they're high tech, right? I mean, the gear that he's carrying around is we're used to in the Army a certain sight picture, and it's really hard to get away from that. Knowing that, yeah, but get him into recurve, you know, just beat his ass every time he goes into the target butts and just say, yeah, it's easy, you know?
Yeah, I've been shaming him for it. I give him crap for it. We'll see. I mean, we'll see. He just laughs at me because he watches me, like I said, like struggle and have these challenges, like with my compound, and then get really successful. And then as soon as I'm successful, I change, you know, like I'm going to recurve. And he's like, why don't you just ever just like relish the success, like ride the wave, enjoy it. He's like, you just got good and then you just switched. And I was like, yeah, because I enjoy that. He's like, I'm not that way. So he's going to stick where he's comfortable for now.
That is so cool though. And then, so he's deployed a lot. You're at home, but you're
Hmm.
getting out, you doing your hunting. Now,
Yeah.
there's a story behind that too that people can go look at. I understand you made a movie about that.
The Badlands. Yeah. So last year we did do a movie. He was in Afghanistan. I was here at home, and it's a short video. I think it's like 4 minutes, and it's panning back and forth showing me over here getting ready to go elk hunting, and then showing him over there in Afghanistan. And at the end of it, it shows me getting my elk that I got last year, and then it shows him on a mission. And actually, some of the footage and what I showed you when I sent you the video, that's actual like a real firefight that he was in. So they have like body cams and stuff, and so yeah, some of that footage is pretty raw footage. So we were really honored to be selected for the film festival, and so I went out to the ATA in January, which was my first time going to that show, so that I could watch the film on the big screen at the Badlands Film Festival. And he was still deployed, so he didn't get a chance to see it, which was unfortunate, but it was pretty good.
Lots of tears in that room, I bet, for the screening, and a little bit of lots of
Yeah, it kind of
tears and cheers. I
pulls
hope.
on your heartstrings. Yeah.
It certainly does, and you can go on your website, PNW Huntress, not underscore on this one though. So I want to make that clear. So it's pnwhuntress.com, and then there's a link to that video there.
Yeah, there is. Yep.
And hunting, and we can hunt with you there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, my hunts. Yeah, I do group hunts. Yeah, so I work with different outfitters and put together group hunts and get discounted group rates. And I was supposed to have one in Africa again this year. We were taking a group with us, and unfortunately all my stuff got canceled because of COVID.
Yeah.
But that New Zealand is a group hunt, and then that ranch in Texas that I hunt, we're doing group hunts in next month.
So that's on for sure. The one in Texas next month.
Yep, I actually got a couple spots open for that if there seriously are people that want to do that. But I love, I'm a very social person, and I love meeting new people, and I love hunting with other people. And so that was like another new thing that I found that I enjoyed, is getting groups together and going on trips.
That's wonderful. That's fantastic. And so on those, you're going to be hunting yourself and using recurve.
Yes. Yep. Only recurve.
Or an ATOL. Or an ATOL or a knife or what?
Yeah, well, knife, that's not a joke, because if you look on my Instagram, there's pictures where they do the hog hunting with the knife. So I did do some knife hunting there.
Crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah, I actually have I have a really cool dog. I have a Catahoula. Do you know what a Catahoula is?
I don't know.
So I hope someone listening knows a little bit more than I do, but he's a Louisiana Leopard Dog, and they use them for corralling pigs.
Okay.
They use them in Louisiana, dude. That's what they do. That's what they're bred for.
Nice.
That sort of thing that you were doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. He's a cool looking dog too. I wish he was down there.
Yeah. It's really cool watching the dogs work. That was really the killing was fun, but watching how the dogs worked and how they're trained and all that, that was pretty cool.
That's going to make it into the trailer. The killing was fun.
The killing was fun too, but
it was fun too. Oh my gosh, that's funny. With your education, the stuff that you've done, even though it's been a year, man, you could be out there you are going to be a traditional female role model, if not role model in general. Forget female.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, your shots look good. You're breaking your shots really well. You're hunting you're a mad killer. I love it. And you're skilled hunter. And so, yeah, you're a role model already.
Well, I am passionate. We didn't get a chance to touch on the podcast, but I am very passionate at getting more women involved in just archery in general. I don't know how many I'm going to get to switch over to traditional archery, but I mean, who Becca Garris is, probably, obviously, and she's probably the main girl, and that was who inspired me. Her and Erin Snyder were, I would say, my two people, social media wise, that I followed, that really gave me inspiration. And so I would like to kind of have that role as well, to provide that inspiration to at least, to the community in general, but specifically females, because I really enjoy seeing females get involved. And I think they feel more comfortable going to other females for help or to ask questions. You know, like I didn't get into archery for a long time because I was intimidated because was a man's sport, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like and so I know that's changing. That's definitely changing now, which is good. I like seeing that. So
No, so that's an excellent point. So I think that, you know, you helping out, getting women into, I hope for my sake that your focus is a lot on trad archery. Cause I
yeah,
would love that. I would love that. Right.
it will be.
Yeah, good. Cause I mean, honestly, I don't think at this point right now you can post too much or too frequently on what you're doing in trad archery. Again, fantastic looking shot process. Talk about all the coaching that you've received, because that's really what we want people to do. We want them to get out and coach, because if you don't have that, you get frustrated so quick.
Right.
So quickly, right?
Yeah. And like Joel was telling me, he said, you know, there's not a lot of women in trad archery and they give up. And he's like, there's a real actual scientific reason why it's harder for women. And it has to do with how I think it's proprioception, he called it.
Yeah.
And it's how we visualize like where the arrow is going to end up. And he made the analogy of backing up a trailer, like why it's harder for us to like back up a trailer than a man. And it's like literally science, like how our brain works. And he's like, it's so unfortunate because these women will try to get into trad archery and then they'll fail and they find it hard. And there's like actual things they can do to fix that or to help that, but they don't have the resource there and they don't know.
That's right.
And so that's why I have a lot of respect for people like Joel and Tom that can help people work through that so that people aren't giving up, seeing that it's possible.
So is there anything else that you'd like to share that maybe people don't know about you that would be really cool and interesting?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I'm that interesting.
I know this is a tough one for all my guests, but I kind of want to, you know, sometimes there's something really, really interesting. Like the other day we had Anya on, and no one knew that she was a ballerina. She was like a professionally trained ballerina. It was kind of cool.
Really?
Yeah, it was really neat.
Oh, I don't have any cool talents like that.
It doesn't have to be a talent like that. It's something you're not. This is going to make this podcast so much better. What is it? Give us something.
Well, I guess if we're talking about jobs, I have a really random job. Like I own my own business, and I do 3D ultrasounds on babies, where I show people what their baby looks like in the womb, but in 3D.
That is cool as heck. That was post the time that I had my girls. Yeah, but that's kind of new tech, right? I mean, like, how old's that?
Yeah, it's pretty new technology. That was another one of those things that I didn't know anything about ultrasounds. I'd never done an ultrasound in my life. My background is actually in business and marketing, and I saw a business opportunity and a challenge, and I was like, I'm going to buy an ultrasound machine and figure out how to do this. And my family was like, they're like, you're going to do what?
Do you use it for anything else, like crazy? Like
I did, yeah. I've done an ultrasound on a French bulldog. I ultrasounded a French bulldog. Yep. And I have 3D images of all the puppies where you can literally see like their little faces.
Aww.
It was some crazy breeder lady that needed to know how many puppies. And I had never done an ultrasound on anything besides a pregnant woman. So I was like, yeah, bring the dog in. We'll see how this goes. And plopped it up on the bed and gave it an ultrasound and gave her pictures. And yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's random. Ultrasounding dogs.
Yeah. So let's kind of review all the places that people can go and see you and kind of start following you if they're not already. I think you have most of the compound and the archery community locked up by now, but I'm sure there's some people that are not following you yet on Instagram, which would be really cool. So why don't you give us your Instagram, your website one more time, anywhere else that people can kind of watch stuff that you do.
Yeah, I try to just concentrate on those two things. So my Instagram is mostly where I'm putting my content up, and that is PNW_Huntress. And then the website, which I try to keep updated, but that's a little behind, that is PNWHuntress.com.
That's fantastic. And hey, again, thank you very much for being on the show. And thank you to your husband.
you.
Thank you for your service, both of you guys. We really,
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. And
Yeah.
God bless. Everyone, don't forget that we have t-shirts now, Quick Shot t-shirts. I got to do a promo too. Quick Shot
Okay.
t-shirts. If you're interested in purchasing one, there'll be a link in the show notes, and all these links to Sarah's pages will be in the show notes as well. Until we talk again, have an awesome day.